Paint Jr. is the 32nd playable character in Castle Crashers and was released alongside the Painter Boss Paradise DLC, a whole 13 years later from the previous DLC character. It's kinda like when some parents decide to have another kid after their children's already grown up. But anyway, in this video, we will be reviewing Paint Jr. and seeing where he ranks amongst the other playable characters. Right, so starting with his splash magic, and Paint Jr. is easily the most unique. Pressing the splash magic input will summon a drawing from a random position and direction. Drawings will travel across the screen indefinitely, only being stopped by enemies or physical barriers. Each drawing can hit an enemy up to 3 times before exploding, with each of the 3 hits doing the same amount of damage. The projectile magic will summon a single high damage drawing that explodes upon impact. And unlike the splash magic, the projectile attack will always summon in front of Paint Jr., meaning every cast will be consistent. Paint Jr.'s air projectile is the exact same as its splash magic, summoning a random drawing from a random position and direction. His elemental infusion is nothing special as it's simply armor pierce, which is your base melee damage times 2 added onto your base magic damage times 2. Paint Jr.'s final magic is his jump magic, which sees the painter emerge from the ground, throwing Paint Jr. into the air whilst also damaging any enemies nearby. So as you can see, Paint Jr. has one of the most unique magics in all of the game. But does that make it good? Let's find out. So Paint Jr.'s splash is pretty controversial, mainly due to it being unpredictable and unreliable. For smaller groups of enemies, the splash magic is not guaranteed to hit, which is only a problem for Paint Jr. I mean, even Arrow Rain is guaranteed to hit. Oh, and for boss fights, you'll be better off buying a lottery ticket. However, this concern is combated by the sheer amount of drawings Paint Jr. can summon at max magic, resulting in most of the screen being covered. This is amazing for large groups of enemies, such as the Necromancer's boss room, since in there, you don't really have time to stand still and summon magic. But when playing Paint Jr., you could simply just run around the room and avoid the enemies while spamming your drawings. This is where the splash magic's unreliability actually becomes its strength, since you don't have to worry about the direction you're facing or if the enemies are in line with you. No, you just spam and let the drawings do all of the work. But outside of the enemy dense levels, you could also just use his projectile magic to target smaller groups of enemies. Now, all of Paint Jr.'s magic is non-elemental, which is actually a slight negative. In Castle Crashers, there are 5 elements which enemies can be weak or resistant to, that being poison, electricity, ice, fire, and physical. Physical damage sources include your melee as well as non-elemental magic, meaning a character like Paint Jr. cannot take advantage of enemy weaknesses, unlike say Red Knight, who can switch to electricity for enemies who are weak to that. Though admittedly, this is such a minor nitpick that it's not going to affect Paint Jr.'s rating at all. So far, Paint Jr. has sounded pretty underwhelming. I mean, comparing him to the previous DLC character Hattie, who has the most magics in the game, the Blue Knight who can stun knock enemies, and the Red Knight who is great at crowd control, Paint Jr. just doesn't seem that good. But what if I told you that Paint Jr. is secretly broken and can be used like no other character? You see, I previously mentioned that Paint Jr.'s splash is unreliable, and whilst that remains true, we could actually take advantage of it. Let's use the marsh for an example. Early in this level, you will have to face a difficult wave of enemies, consisting of 4 beefies and 4 skeletons. This wave is extremely difficult, since the beefies can grab you out of the air and juggles, the skeletons can shoot magic or melee you when you stand still, and the small cramped space makes it hard to move around. But with Paint Jr., you don't even have to fight the enemies, since I can just stand in this corner with my shield whilst spamming my splash magic. This results in my drawings damaging and killing all of the enemies without me having to do a single thing. No aiming, no danger, no skill. And this can be done for the whole game, meaning Paint Jr. can beat Castle Crashers without having to really do anything, something that no other character can do. But before you go and start a Paint Jr. playthrough, there are some things to know. First being that this strat is only really good for the average player, since juggling is always going to be better. And if you know how to use them, characters such as the Red and Blue Knight can use their magic much more efficiently. Finally, this no skill corner strat is only really effective in normal mode. As for insane mode, yeah, it just isn't really that good. Due to the enemy's ridiculous 10 times health increase, the drawing's damage output is severely lacking, meaning this strat doesn't really work. But with that being said, most magics aren't really worth using in insane mode anyway, since juggling is what you want to do. Moving on to Paint Jr.'s starting weapon, and guys, this weapon is absolutely insane, boasting a crazy +7 magic, +2 defense, and +1 agility, making the pencil the best magic weapon in the game. But with that being said, the pencil weapon is also level 1, meaning any character can grab it after home castle, unlike the bear's starting weapon, which can only be equipped once the player hits level 20. But once again, this is just another nitpick of mine, and it's not going to affect Paint Jr.'s rating. Some final things I'd like to know is that I wish Paint Jr.'s magic was a little bit more interesting, since the splash, air projectile, and projectile magic is visually the same thing. It would have been cool if Paint Jr.'s projectile magic were the painter's paintings, since you know, his name is literally Paint Jr. His elemental infusion is also pretty bland, but at the same time, it is armor pierce, so at least it's a very strong attack. Luckily though, Paint Jr.'s jump magic is extremely unique, with a solid animation, and he even speaks like he does in his fight. But looking at Paint Jr.'s magic as a whole, I do wish there was just a bit more variety. Overall, Paint Jr. is a great addition to Castle Crashers. He brings a unique magic that is unlike any other character in the game, and with the right playstyle, Paint Jr. can dominate certain levels. But plugging Paint Jr. into my character tier list, I would say he's a solid A tier character. I think the randomness of his magic is too unreliable to be S tier, and his damage drop off on insane mode is very intense, whereas these S tier characters can still hold their own. But that's just my opinion. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Paint Jr. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.